Darren.
Hey, Ajay.
Hey.
I think we still got a couple of minutes.
Right.
The broadcast has started.
Right.
Yeah.
Should I share my screen with the?
I think you should, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you confirm what you see?
Oh, yes. I
You see
can
my
see.
screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Let me turn off my focus. I mean, turn on my focus here. Yeah. Did you just resend the script? Okay, he is.
Hear me?
A little.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
The last new platform question: does the camera work? Does the mic work?
Everything is working. You can hear us, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So I think we can start off. I hope
Yes.
everyone is fine with it. Yeah, perfect.
So just to confirm, Nicole, you see on the screen, the screen shared, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect. Because we follow along that.
Okay.
All right.
So hello, everyone, and welcome to our new monthly webinar series, which is purely focused on AI, the practical users of AI. I am Tarun Gujral, one of the co-founders of Creative Bits AI, and I have with me my co-founder, Harjot Bamra, and we'll be your host today.
Hey, thanks, Tarun. Hi, everyone. I'm Harjot Bamra. We are excited to kick off this series, which we've designed so that we can have a concise, curated look at what's happening in the AI world. We'll also highlight real-world applications to help you connect these innovations to tangible business outcomes, and we're calling it AI Bits, kind of aligning with our company's surname, Creative Bits, and we'll be focusing more on the news, and special guests will be coming in. Over to you, Tarun.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Harjot. So I think you rightly pointed it out, specifically with September 2022, and that is when ChatGPT 3.5 was being released. It has been overwhelmed with AI, everything coming out, something new every week. And with a lot of this noise coming in, I think the main question comes out that how do you actually use AI in business and you can get an ROI out of it. A lot of users have been using still to write for good English or maybe good images coming out of it. But the whole focus of this webinar series is to see that practical applicability of AI coming in and how you can use it in day-to-day business so that it can give you the required ROI.
Thank you. Yeah, and since this is a live webinar, we encourage our attendees to ask questions. We'll address those questions at the end of the webinar so that we can continue with our agenda. And we value interaction, so please feel free to keep dropping your questions in the chat, and we want to make sure you walk away feeling that you're more informed and inspired after this webinar.
So before we start diving deep and start getting into the real actions, maybe we can quickly introduce our company, Creative Bits AI. In fact, it started about a year back when me and Harjot met in New York in a cafe, and we were just casually talking about AI. and what is this hoopla about this particular AI? And then we started debating, and then curious that how AI is actually coming to use to us. I mean, yes, good English, but what next? And that is where we thought and started debating that why don't we come up with set of consulting services where we can actually help out various businesses to adopt AI. And that is how the Creative Bits AI was born. And today, if we talk about our journey, there where we have actually provided multiple consultancy to various customers on utilizing AI in their day-to-day activities, as well as we have few products in our portfolio.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we want to show, what not only what's new in AI, but also how you can integrate those tools into your business strategy and, in fact, in your daily life. We believe that AI isn't just for the big tech behemoths, the big four, but it's for any organization looking to enhance their efficiency, personalize experiences, or even add innovation to their current offerings or be able to innovate further with new products.
Thanks, Ajot. Rightly said. And with us, we have our special guest, which is Vipul Vyas. So, Vipul, welcome to the webinar. It's always a pleasure to hear to Vipul. Vipul comes up with that strong domain marketing, life sustainability experience, and he beautifully marries it with technology. So, I mean, you can spend hours and you won't even realize with all those innovations coming out. So, Vipul, obliged to have you with us. And let's see that hear about and give the chance to everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. Much appreciated, and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. And Vipul, your insights, as we will hear a little later in the webinar, they are a perfect example of how AI can basically stretch across multiple industries. And honestly, like the story that Tarun was talking about, at the time when we started the organization, we were looking at the major domains, right? We had an idea, an inkling of an idea, like it can be used, AI could be used in many different places. But after listening to you, the sustainability use case was kind of an innovation, and that literally it led us into a direction where we feel um, there is so much capability in AI, and we are really looking for listening from you, getting inspired. We've gotten inspired. We are hoping our audience will get inspired as well.
Great.
So let's get started. The way we're going to keep this particular agenda is we're going to first start off with a little bit of what's happening in AI world, and talking about what are the current trends and analytics and what has happened in past week. And then is when we're going to deep dive into Vipul's word in Tribalist. He's the founder of Tribalist, and how he has used AI. And then we're going to leave the floor open for the questions. That sounds good, right, Harjot?
That's perfect. Yes, and I'll dive right in um, to listen to go over a little bit of a tidbits about what's happening in the AI world, some latest few um, milestones that the industry has achieved. And Google Willow is one of the things that basically was announced, I think, this week or last week, where even though it's not like an AI platform or AI product per se, but it's about the milestone in quantum computing. And Tarun, you want to start off by giving an introduction on Willow?
Oh yeah. In fact, I mean, this is where a bullet hits the bullet, right? I mean, the way AI was always there since 1980s, right? 70s, 60s, 50s, right? But the whole problem why AI never kicked off was because of the compute. We always lacked that compute. Even now, if you see today, I mean, it's those gaming cards which got converted into GPUs, and those were the ones which actually resulted in providing that parallel processing, made this whole AI happen, the magic of AI that we see today. And now if we think about Willow, which obviously will still take few years in order to come to the mainstream, but the power of it, that I mean, you can have 10 to the power of 25 zeros. I mean, time that a CPU would take to process a particular problem, it does it in few seconds and few minutes, under 5 minutes to be precise. Having that and sitting and AI pretty much sitting on top of it, all analysis, all trainings, everything on AI that we do right now, which takes us still few hours and few days and few months to train, would actually happen in fraction of seconds. So yeah, exciting works coming ahead. Maybe, yeah, still few years down the line, but I think we are on that journey.
Absolutely. And the way it could really impact AI is by democratizing it more. Um, Basically, even small businesses would be able to utilize those advanced AI tools, which are currently kind of out of their sphere of influence because of the computational backlogs or computational bottlenecks. Uh, we are still a few years away from commercial viability, but at least it's a great milestone. So we wanted to start the new section with mentioning a little bit about Willow and quantum computing, that it's going to eventually hit AI as well. And moving on to our next topic, Sora is an OpenAI product. Shifting gears to it, and basically we've heard about Sora a little bit in the past, and what we are coming to know about it is that it promises more efficient domain-specific capabilities. It might compress months of AI model data into or model development into weeks or even days, depending on what the data is like and what really lies under the hood.
And in fact, I mean, I was seeing one of those YouTubes where they have asked Sora, I mean, that YouTuber, to make a dancing monkey with boots on and playing a piano. And Sora beautifully created that video. I mean, still, yeah, it still has to go a little bit of milestones. But yeah, that whole video generation capabilities of Sora, I mean, oh yeah, it's going to increase the creativity to the next level.
Correct.
And similarly, I think the next one is the Whisk, again by Google, that has come out. I think Google is doing a lot of catching on and really taking a lead on few of these things. Whisk, more of image, talking to image. You really don't require the prompting, the text prompts that we use today. A simple example could be that there could be one image, which could be a scene, and then there could be another image, which could be an object. And pretty much this scene and image object can talk to each other in order to provide altogether a new set of images. So you're not writing a particular text to do all those things, but images talking to images without using the prompt to come up with something new.
Exactly. And this is like going to be a blessing for content creators, because this basically would mean it reshapes on how they ideate, how they prototype on their ideas. Instead of crafting like long text prompts, which we are currently doing, and that probably will continue in the future. But with a product like Whisk, they will be able to manipulate images directly to generate new visuals. From AI lens, it lowers the barrier to entry, because now you can sketch something, you can generate visuals just from sketch, choose maybe a reference image from the internet. You can guide AI overall from visual aspect. And this opens doors, and this might open doors, I would say, for designers, marketers, educators who currently will rely on prompting techniques, maybe rely on AI specialists to find visuals more intuitive than text prompts. And moving on to AI governance. Now, all the excitement around AI, and as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So that's why there's a clear spotlight that we have to put on to AI governance, AI ethics, and with the market expected to grow like multifold. They're saying 35% of CAGR by 2030. Regulators, companies, and citizens here, they're kind of nervous. There's nervousness around the specialists. They're all demanding frameworks to ensure that AI is used responsibly, we have the right processes in place, and it's used ethically.
I think it is coming at the right time. If you look at a couple of days back, there's a whole open AI Owen news which is floating around, where London researchers asked Owen to do certain sort of task, and OpenAI Owen model started doing its own stuff, without, even though the boundaries were being set, it overrided. And then when testers asked the model, why did you do it? Its first response was it lied. Secondly, it was that, yes, I mean, it gave those gibberish answers, turning it around. And thirdly, it said it was a technical error. So it's beginning to sound more like human, though we still have a long way to go. But yeah, this is where
Exactly.
the governance really needs to come into play.
Agreed. Yeah. And how can we leave cybersecurity behind, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely not. And specifically with all those fake news, with image capability may resulting in more image creations, talking about voice, cyber crimes, phishing crimes. If the whole go-to market has become much more faster because of AI, even the other side, the flip side, that is where all the phishing and all those activities have also become faster because now they're using AI to do that. Right? So it's more like
Exactly.
AI and cybercrime.
It's an arms race almost, like from with governance frameworks and breakthroughs in hopefully quantum computing in the future. There might be that race. The good people might be a little bit ahead of the people with all the malintent, but the problem still stays. Cybersecurity field is only going to grow with AI from both the aspects, the attack and the ones protecting the organizations.
Agreed.
And yeah, and while we are talking about the news, we are all numbers guy these days, so we have to touch upon the numbers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 75% Gen AI usage. I think everyone these days is using it. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter whether it is inside the organization, inside the business processes, or just to write good English and emails. Everyone is getting to begin hooked on Gen
yeah,
AI, and it has actually become an integral part of our lives.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So AI is now mainstream, basically. Not just in innovation. It's not just for the big organizations, mid-sized businesses, small businesses, and I have to mention um, startups. Tribalist is a great example where AI is being used for process automation, content creation, and there are many services even in the customer services side. So yes, booming technology, and very excited for the way forward. Moving on, we have to mention about why are organizations really adopting Gen AI? Basically, because there is ROI. The bottom line is impacted. So there is a study being done, which was posted on Microsoft side, but it's done by IDC, that um, the ROI is 3.7x, so 370%. So that's something, right? That's substantial. It's not a number to ignore.
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you're putting $1 in and you're getting about $3.7 back, I mean, it becomes no-brainer
Yeah,
that sooner or later you have to adopt AI. Otherwise,
mhm,
you would soon become dinosaurs.
agreed.
Hmm.
Right.
And yeah,
Um,
industry, yeah, definitely bound to grow. I mean, 2.5 trillion because it becomes the mainstream. It is what is being expected by year 2032. Um, Huge numbers, but I believe the numbers could even go bigger as we progress more and more in AI.
exactly. The adoption has been while it has been almost universal, but there are certain industries like software and services which are definitely ahead of the curve in implementing AI. But the growth will permeate across many different industries: hardware, data infrastructure, consulting, and any industry you can think about. And as AI makes entry into all these different sectors, this valuation, reflects that the future, where AI is kind of underpinning everything from healthcare to finance to e-commerce, PDPs, and everything.
Yeah, totally
Um,
agree. And
yeah,
in
and of
fact,
course,
yeah,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, in fact, I was talking about this whole impact that it would have on jobs. Uh, Around, it is expected to have about 12 million additional jobs. And I mean, there was always that story, right? That when computers, that was the same argument that was in 1980s, that computers have come in, humans would become useless. But if you look at it, it has only resulted in more jobs, because the whole mundane work was now being done by computers, and the humans evolved to the next level because the foundation and the basic layer was being controlled by computers. And you move to the next level, making the environment much more complex and giving us much more innovation bandwidth. And now with AI coming in, I mean, I think this is the next jump in the platform, where again, soon AI would take over all the basic stuff, basic decisions, which doesn't require really that human mindset. And that is where now humans would have more of their mind share available to start developing more complex things, which
Totally
would,
agreed. Yeah,
yes.
and this number of 12 million, basically, if you look at the underlying numbers, it's like AI is going to replace 85 million jobs, but it's going to create 97 million. So the 12 million additional jobs, it it's a big jump, but it does mean that we all have to develop that AI skill set in the organization as business owners. It's really imperative that we make our employees ready for that future, so they're in that 12 million number.
Great. And talking about the productivity itself, I mean, yes, in fact, this is something that we are even seeing it now with the customers, where we have started putting in AI. Something that used to take days is now taking minutes. In fact, one of the auto insurance companies that we were working with, they would adjudicate the whole claim, and it would take them at least about 10 minutes or so. That has come down to about 1.5 minutes, because now you have AI recommendations, and it's only the edge cases which go out to the humans to adjudicate them.
Exactly. Okay, so we have discussed about the news and the numbers. Now let's talk about the real practical world implementation, right?
So,
And
Hajat, we want to share about those specific industries where AI
yeah,
can bring in those transformations and so on.
yes, actually, I did. I did make a fancy word cloud to show where AI is, which industries AI is being used in. And as you can see, there are certainly some industries which are doing much better than the others, but none of the industries are really left behind, honestly. Um, and our real interest has become pretty much attuned to whatever customers are asking for from us, and marketing, campaign management, healthcare, all of that has really come to the fore. And at this point in time, I would really like to pick Vipul's Vipul's brain to determine, like, Vipul, how do you think AI is impacting, let's say, one of the industry we'll talk about, marketing. So how do you think AI is impacting marketing world?
It'll vary, because marketing is ultimately a function that varies from industry to industry in terms of the need of those particular industries. But in general, there's a few things that are happening. One of which is you can manage content much more effectively. So there's content that's been created, there's content that needs to be created. So how do you leverage what you have done to create things you want to create that will be done? So the historic content can inform the future content. Maybe not if you're clearly not reusing it completely or verbatim. So it's more of a informing function versus a reproducing function. So there's that. But in general, at a more conceptual level, marketing can now deliver a message on demand as needed to a particular person, essentially the right words, right message at the right time in the right modality to drive the right behavior, if you will. And so that would practically mean I'm going to say the right thing with the right economies of scale, economy of words rather, through a text message with regard to an abandoned cart within 15 minutes after you leave the website. So that's the ability to figure out which we have some today. There's sort of these standard rules that apply in marketing, but really now what you can do is add the dynamic element to it that didn't exist before.
Exactly.
Which is, instead of completely rules-based, it's actually rules that are applied on a more flexible basis as needed.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful part about AI's implementation. It takes the laborious tasks away and augments the intelligence, the human intelligence, in a way so extreme that we literally call it AI square. Because artificial intelligence, from our perspective, is augmented intelligence. So this is where we feel there is a big matchup between um, how AI is implemented while keeping the regular day-to-day similar, but giving you a lot more support to hyper personalize your content and have a great end result for the businesses that we work with and their end customers. So
Yeah,
that's great.
you're getting rid of the drudgery, as you're denoting,
Yes.
which often is what saps morale and motivation, and
Yeah.
you're able to do more effectively the things that have to be done today. Example, just the campaign management function that I mentioned before, then being able to make sure that all the pages that you have out there, and you may have thousands of pages out there, are able to move and change to meet SEO needs on a more tactical level, which otherwise would be very painful to do on a one by
I
one manual basis. So people don't even
100%,
bother doing it. Now
100%
you can
agree.
do it.
Exactly. And this is where, I would like to open it up, Vipul, to your experience with AI, how you um, how you came about embracing it. What made you look for AI in the Tribalist? By the way, congratulations for the tribalist.com. It's doing very well. We love the products that you put in there. But we would love to for our listeners to hear back from you, like what made you really look into AI for Tribalist?
Practical drivers really led to the usage of AI for what we're doing. The Tribalist essentially is a recommendation engine, for lack of a better descriptor, for sustainable products. So what the company essentially does is understand what people use and do today in terms of their consumer habits, and then translate that, which all AI models ultimately are translation models. That's the root of these technologies, hence the name transformer, which is in the word right there, with GPT as an example, general purpose transformer model. So these are rooted in the idea of translating one thing to another, whether it's a command in terms of prompts into a picture in action or what have you. So using that framework, what Tribalists aspire to do is essentially translate a current state of being, of what it could perceive, into a set of product recommendations that were theoretically better. And in the particular case of the Tribalist, it is better in terms of environmentally better, and better from a personal health perspective, because it reduces the individual's exposure to certain chemicals, such as microplastics and the associated toxins with that particular set of substances, such as phthalates and forever chemicals and BPA, etc. But from an AI perspective, to answer your question, we were doing this manually. So we
Yeah.
were taking pictures of clients' homes, their kitchens, their refrigerators, contents of those refrigerators, the bathroom, etc., and literally doing this with a person, to the point where that was the supreme manifestation of drudgery and the associated pain. And so one day I just said, let me try to do this with AI, not even having any sense whether it would work. Zero idea that it would work. And lo and behold, it did. The AI could reasonably pick out objects. It could understand what they were. And then it could, with some direction, give proper sustainable alternatives. And that was more on the recommendation side, to say, here's an as-is state. This is your current state of your home in terms of your pantry or what have you, your bathroom. And then I understand it.
Yep.
I can understand the individual things in there. And the part that was even more fascinating is it could, by virtue of that, it's a little scary, kind of start to understand your personality. Like based on the choices you're making, you could sort of in aggregate go, yeah, I can see the individual objects, fine. That's amazing. That's earth-shattering. But even more profound is I can take the aggregate view of that. Like you are inclined to convenience over health, or you're inclined over cost over quality, whatever. It could start making reasonable and, from my perspective, accurate estimations of the person's behavior and underlying personality. And so that was the first use of tribalists. And then again, to take away the environmental and health and the other sort of elements to it, at the end of the day, it was simply I understand your needs by way of image and AI analysis of image, and understanding those needs, I can now give you a set of very customized product recommendations. That was the first thing that we did. And I'll just quickly say the second thing is, having done that, we now need to recommend products. And before we were manually, artisanally, let's say it that way, identifying products that we felt met our criteria. And those criteria were very specific in terms of the nature of the product, the fact that it was made out of sustainable materials, the fact that it was manufactured in a certain way, in a certain place, etc. All were expectations we had of what we would recommend. And now AI could help us peruse many products and determine whether they meet those requirements and become part of our formulary. And
Exactly. And as long as you provide AI with the machine, the infrastructure, it can go on and on, surfing through the internet, and that human working, the productivity, lack of productivity doesn't really impact AI. That's amazing. And being a part of that journey with you on the AI side with Tribalist, it has really been very exciting for us. I think what we would, and as our viewers today and in the future when we roll this out, the viewer before Tribalist, was there any exposure that you had to AI, and that led you to believe that when you started with the Tribalist, that AI is a great implementation of a use case, or Tribalist is a great use case for AI implementation? What led for you to think like that, or was it just like an accidentally you came across ChatGPT and just started working through it?
As often as the case, there's a confluence of factors coming together, intersecting trends or patterns. And I had been associated with a generative AI company in the marketing space specifically before, for several years before ChatGPT was launched. And so before the current cool aura or hype cycle sort of began. And so I was deeply immersed for years before September 2022, when ChatGPT debuted into the world. And so with that, I had an existing baseline foundation. And the company that I worked for had, again, focused on marketing. So there was that existing understanding. But at the same time, this particular application was serendipitous in the sense that, yes, I knew what AI could do. I had some sense, but I had no idea it could do this. So, in the past, I thought about, given the context of my previous work, AI can help you with words. It can optimize words. It can say the right words to the right person at the right time. It can sort of whisper sweet nothings, if you will, by looking at what are all the different ways I can say the same thing and what is the most compelling way. And that was, again, it was sort of what you mentioned before. It's the ability to craft something more nicely, like an email or a text. Now, that's obviously what I'm describing, much more sophisticated, but still in that sort of a linear extension of that same concept. Whereas now, this is completely, a step function, or maybe it's even orthogonally different, in the sense that I'm now using AI to understand the customer at a very intimate level by understanding their world, their life, and by and getting that understanding. Like, human would have to look at a picture. They say a picture says 1,000 words. for us as well as machine has to size that up, which we could do. Like, oh my God, this person's a disaster. They're a subclinical hoarder, or maybe they're official full blown diagnosable hoarder, or whatever. Being a little bit over the top, whatever they are, and then now I'll work with that. That is before today was not possible. And
Yes.
I'll mention a couple more things in that regard. So that was a fundamental change in the ability to be that intimate with the customer. And then having an intimate understanding of the products, you can bring those 2 points of deeper knowledge together. I know who they are. I know probably what they're going to want beyond just people like them having bought something. Though that's obviously an input and helpful, but it's not everything. And so this is a serious augmentation of that. And then a serious understanding of the products that are available beyond maybe a limited formulary. So you can really bring those two things together.
Right. And that's the power of AI, Gen AI. I think it's gone leaps and bounds, as you said, September 2022, October, like ChatGPT, when my high schooler came to me, he was like, Dad, have you looked at this? And I was like, yeah, but I was surprised he knew. And now hopefully he's going into an AI specialization when going to college. But the point I'm trying to make is that availability of AI and its progression over the last 2 years has been so phenomenal that we've had the pleasure of working with machine learning as well. And machine learning gives you a lot of accuracy. And the reason I'm bringing that topic up is because Gen AI has basically become so accurate that many a times when your accuracy level is, let's say, 70 to 80% as a need, Gen AI is able to provide you with that. Like, it has so much of data, so much of smartness around it that, let's say in your use case, you give it a picture, it's able to quite accurately describe what it is, determine what's needed, what's about the customer, and have the background kind of make some assumptions, which is great. Now, in the past, Gen AI was not like this. It was more like, AI was like machine learning, lots of data scientists working together to make sure something like that could happen. So that was actually so phenomenal that we basically found our niche to be within that space, and be able to help so many different industries by that virtue. Having said that, now let's change the gears a little bit, because we talked about product recommendations, Vipul, but I know that you are also looking to utilize AI for PDP, product description page, which, in all honesty, you are the one who introduced us to that term. For e-commerce site, we knew there are pages, there is description, content writing. PDP as a term was something that we learned from you, and now we are also getting there. So what is your findings on PDP in e-commerce getting impacted by AI?
There's a lot of ways you can use AI for product description pages or PDPs. Ours, again, was driven by a specific need, which was, how do we introduce into our store the right products? That was the first order need, the driver. And there are companies that work on how do you then present that appropriately? How do you optimize the presentation of it? We had a more fundamental problem, which was simply, what products do we choose, and then how do we highlight why we chose them? Because our audience had specific interests in terms of things that were, like we talked about, sustainable and had limited use of plastic and things of that nature. So what we did with PDP is to say, okay, if let's make it simple. If I'm looking at Amazon, and I'm an affiliate marketer of Amazon, or if I'm reselling products that are provided by the original manufacturer, I want to be able to look at that product from the information available publicly on the internet, and I may have to triangulate that from a few different places, determine based on my criteria what makes that product ideal for me. And then based on what I know my customers want, how do I describe that product to them, as opposed to maybe the original manufacturers trying to do something more generic or general, and may not be attuned to my specific target market. And therefore, the way that they present things may not be in the brand voice or in the, maybe even from a compliance perspective for that matter, not be relevant for how I'm trying to position my company. And so I can now take raw data, validate two things. One is that the product makes sense for my business based on what I'm trying to accomplish. It fits into the portfolio. And having accomplished that, then determine, well, now how do I write about this product such that it would appeal to my target market, as opposed to maybe the generic description provided by the original manufacturer. So instead of saying this is, has these dimensions, it's made out of steel, blah, 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 we could say, look, this is infinitely recyclable. It's made out of steel, and upon disposal will have no impact on the environment. Those are things that the original manufacturer just would not potentially think about, and therefore put on paper, and then put down on the site. And then the extension, sort of two other dimensions, is that I can, on an ongoing basis, more cheaply optimize for SEO. So if I see that reducing microplastics as a term is trending, I can then make sure I weave that narrative into the product description page, not only for the consumption of the people shopping, but also the consumption of the search engine bots that are figuring out where to rank me.
Right.
So it works at two levels.
And it just makes your go-to-market so much more streamlined. Now you can have hundreds of products going through this PDP algorithm that you have very expertly designed. And we'll get a little bit into it, the system that was developed, and the drudgery impact that you had mentioned before is basically where AI is augmenting your your brain cells to be more doing the things that really matter than this researching investigation that can be done by AI, which is amazing. And this is turning out to be a use case which more and more people in the industry, even in different use cases than sustainability, are identifying.
Yeah, I think sustainability is one application, but it could really be universally applied. And it could be even, we've talked about pictures, but people don't necessarily have to give you an image. They can simply give you direction,
Right.
from a prompt or narration perspective. And that could be sufficient now to match their interests to the products you have available.
Interesting, yes. And to sum up, we would love to hear from you by using AI solutions. If you could enumerate the tangible business outcomes until now. I know it's still a work in progress. That kind of work would probably is a product in itself, so there's a life cycle that it's going to continue to have. But what tangible business outcomes have you already experienced by using AI?
Probably reduce the cost of managing those PDPs by 80%.
Okay.
And the speed by several 100%.
That's big numbers. That's great. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is also, do you think, I would say maybe to go bit into your transition from a humanly generated product recommendation to AI, do you think that because you knew your process so well that you were able to pinpoint where AI could really help? Or is it just that that people can basically start from AI and just keep refreshing it and put more and more effort on the AI side? Or do you think we should start from the manual aspect first and then go into AI?
So it's a interesting question. I don't know the answer, in the sense that if you start with the manual process, that's great, because then you intimately know what AI needs to remove the drudgery around. So ostensibly, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable approach. Makes complete sense. You can articulate what you know very easily and tell AI in very specific terms what to do and what to make better. The counter argument to that is, excuse me, you're a little bit of a slave to the past when you do that, in the sense that an example I'd give is, creating a video or, say, a TV commercial. In the past, we would, people would do one shoot of that commercial, get it perfect, and make it generally resonant, or generally appealing to most people, so that one thing that they put all their eggs, that's the one thing that they've made all their full bet on, is as good as it could be, or as impactful as it could be. So in that context, you're working the way that you used to work broadcast sort of messaging, broadcast TV, if you will, and conceptually. And that's because it's what you know. And you think that that's the way you need to do it because that's the way it's always been done. But with AI, some of those paradigms, those limitations disappear. So why do I have to do this once and then reuse the same content for the next couple of years or however long? I have to get my return on investment on it. Versus, say, with AI, I can actually say, I know it's Harjat or Tarun who's now shown up. I know a little bit about them. Maybe I just know a little bit about what they've most recently browsed or what they've done in the past few minutes on my site. And I can actually custom tailor a campaign on the spot in the moment that would potentially appeal to you based on the limited amount of information. Maybe I have more information because you're logged in and I know much more about you. Either way, I can actually craft a campaign, a video with audio, with a script, all on the fly, which before would have required hundreds of hours of prep, dozens of hours shooting, and then probably hundreds of hours of post-production editing. Now all of that disappears. So to answer your question in the longest way possible is it's probably good to have an understanding of an existing process, but it can also lead you down a path where you don't fully exploit everything that AI opens up for you.
Right, and that's where people like us would love to come in and give that guidance, and that basically leads us to the next section of this webinar, where we wanted to relate what Vipul just mentioned into an actual implementation of AI. And I think we do have a couple of slides on that. Maybe I'll just, I think certain topics that we shared. Tarun, do you want to take up this slide and explain to the folks what it really is?
Sure. So I think in interest of time, I'll just fast track it. So what we have done in marketing itself, we are attacked from three perspectives. The very first perspective is the reach out. Second is how effective is your reach out using SEO strategies. And thirdly, how do you put all those practices in PDP? So when we're talking about reach out, that is where customers would like to reach out to the maximum audience using digital good. And when we talk about it, that is where all those hyper personalizations, having campaigns on the fly come into play. And that is where we have designed this 4-pillar approach, which starts right from the very initial stage of segmenting the customer from various aspects and identifying those permutations and combinations. So if I have identified 10 segments, now having 2, 3, 4, 5 combinations would have its own set of features. And when we talk about those particular features, then when we talk about that, what could be the possible new customers in that particular region? Could it be from your existing set of customers, or could it be from new? And then could you design a campaign for them? And can you design a whole annual campaign and use various tools like MailChimp, Apollo, Smart Lead, and create those campaigns and execute them on monthly basis, whereas each one of them is rolling up to a common goal of getting those numbers. So if I have a campaign which is being reached out to a middle-aged segment, that is where then we talk about that, yes, would there be holidays, or what there would be campaigns around it? Would there be any news, major news that has happened? What could be the campaigns around it? So there could be multiple micro campaigns using various tools like MailChimp and Apollos, as well as using channels like Facebook, Instagram, or physical media where you can have those print medias and everything being created. So this whole pipeline gets created by AI itself. and it creates the whole annual campaign for you using various channels as well as various medias. So this is where we have tried to attack the whole campaign management itself using
Yeah.
this four-pillar approach.
And
So
in the same spirit, now let's jump into the SEO part of how AI can be used there.
yeah, so SEO is where we have seen that, I mean, no matter what you do, it's a lot of manual labor work, right? You have to find out all the keywords which are specific to you. Then we need to figure it out that what is their ranking, what is the competition, how much is the difficulty level of achieving those keywords, and so on. Now we have tried to use AI to achieve this whole thing, which means that right from the content or the website that you would have, it will analyze, absorb, identify the keywords. It would identify what is the ranking of that particular keywords vis-a-vis what could be the possible keywords and what could be the negative connotations. So like in case of tribalist itself, one could be that all the positive things, but I also want to attack to all those people who are looking at microplastics and healthcare and all that stuff, right? So I would also look at the negative connotations where people are looking at what are microplastic and harmful effects and everything, and why don't I bring my travelers on top of it? Because that is where I come as a solution to these things, right? So we're going to have all those keywords then pretty much being worked with Google keywords, Bing keywords, and so on. And then all your content getting should I say, optimized as per the CEO in order to get those optimized keywords, and then continuous monitoring and a feedback loop being built in so that after every 2 months or 3 months, these things are being revisited and optimized. So the content which is being displayed on the pages is now dynamic and is pretty much created based upon what's happening lately in the industry itself. So that is what SEO
Perfect. Yes, yes. And now I heard about a new term from SEO. It's called GEO. It's because now the content, while you need SEO for sure, a Gen AI engine optimization is the next thing which is coming in SEO. I would say SEO version 2.0, which a lot of the bigwigs are trying to enter into, so that when you enter your search criteria, the Gen AI response, whether it's Search GPT or within Google itself, Gemini producing that content at the top, that you would want to be featured in that. Um, and in order to get there, there is now a little bit of twist in the theory about SEO. So not going too deep into it, but now that's the next task. Next, that is one of the industries now basically getting impacted. A basic SEO industry is getting impacted by how Gen AI is reading the websites. Okay. In the interest of time, as you said, let's jump into PDP. This was going to be our feature, so let's dive a little deeper, and then we'll have a quick demo before we take the Q&As.
Sure. So maybe we can do it from a travelist perspective at a very high level without divulging too much into details. So, I mean, to killing two birds with a single shot. So, like Vipul mentioned, right, we generally, looking at the PDP aspect, you have a product which you start off with, right? And you need to look at from sustainability and healthcare perspective. Not a lot of products or companies would talk about it, that how you are using it. And that is where we have gone into a stage of data collection using AI to do the analysis. Now, each of these block diagrams, there's a science behind it, and there's a lot of IP that comes in. And thanks to Vipul, because he's the one who has helped us design this whole particular IP for Tribalist itself. And then there's a feedback loop. So when we talk about a data collection itself, so say if we take a particular product, which could be any, let's take a cookery example, a frying pan, right? And now you want to see it from sustainability and healthcare and microplastics perspective, that how good or bad this particular product is. Now, in order to do that, first of all, I need to get all the information about that particular product. And that is where data collection comes into play. So it would go to OEM sites, AI would go in, pick up all the information. It will go to e-commerce sites, likes of Amazon and others. It will go to internet. It will go to the review sites, videos, images, Now, all these aspects would be picked in. And then once these aspects are being picked in, all the data is being massaged, and then it is being fed into specific AI model, which is pretty much through various stepped techniques. It helps us in starting to score the product. So it will start to score the product from sustainability perspective. It will give you the details that what are the various badges that you can give it to this particular product. Is this product sustainable, recyclable, biodegradable, and so on and so forth? Now, what is basically the health impact of these products on the health itself? How much plastics and chemicals are being used? Now, we are talking about the whole analysis of this particular product using the IPs that have been developed by Tribalist with the help of AI, based upon the information which is available about this product in digital media, which is in internet sources, right? So once you have all this particular information, it goes through a thorough quality check. Talking about that the analysis done by AI itself, is it up to the mark or not? Yes, there are certain golden set of thought processes in order to ensure that, yes, this output results are in line with those golden thoughts or golden answers. If they are not, it is being refined and fed back. And then once finalized, once approved, it goes through that whole SEO. SEO pretty much, it makes this, the whole content, the AI analysis pretty much SEO ready. And then it starts publishing it onto the website. Now, the other side of it is more around talking about vectorizing the data. That is more about searching it. And also, like Vipul mentioned, looking at the closets and everything, what all products that can be replaced. And that is where this whole search, vector search comes into play with the corresponding dimensions and everything. So I have a plastic jars and everything, which can be replaced by more sustainable products. But obviously, it needs to have similar kind of a style. It needs to have similar kind of dimensions and so on. And that is where all these vectorizations come into play. So I think we have been talking quite a lot. And Harjit, this is the time where we can actually show something in action.
Exactly. And being at Creative Bits, we since we are Monday partners, I'm just going to look at the screen right now because we wanted to showcase how the gory details of workflow automation get hidden. And Monday has been our tool of choice. It's just so powerful, and we've been using it so much. And kudos to our team that was able to do this integration. Basically, we start with a link, let's say, in this case, and we move through the dimensions, all the various dimensions of summarizing the product, scoring the product, adding the badges, and doing sustainability review and chemicals that are avoided. Now, we cannot go into the details because it's Tribalist's IP and they have done all the hard work. But what we're going to showcase here is that for a given product, you can basically just start the workflow, trigger the workflow from here, and it starts going through various steps. And these steps involve multiple levels of details, and it can give you information visually on where you are currently. This takes the whole anxiety or the question about, hey, is it done? Is it not done? Because it even shows you the errors, and you are allowed to override specific aspects of your content being generated, because we use this platform even for UAT from Vipul, from our clients, and this allows them the autonomy to regenerate the content if something has changed. We are also.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to mention just that on what you were showing. I think what's powerful for someone like us is to be able to input that product link on the left to say, I want you to analyze this as, Tarun mentioned, this frying pan. And I want you to put it into my world in terms of thinking about it. And you mentioned some of the aspects. The badges for us are essentially accreditations. Is this particular frying pan made out of something that we think is a good thing to be made out of, like cast iron, for example? Is this pan made in certain manufactured in certain ways or in certain places like the US, which would be another positive thing. And really pull, and there's even more subjective information, such as how to use this pan. What do we like about it? What do we not like about it? What do we not like about its alternative, like a Teflon pan? That would often be the replacement, the alternative typically seen for this particular object. So just by providing one piece of information, that link to the product, and obviously we've templatized and used AI to come up with all the things we want to understand, it goes off and does that analysis, and now the content is available to go on our product description page on our PDP, optimized for SEO, optimized for our brand, optimized for our view. Because you could just say, hey, this is a 12-inch cast iron frying pan, buy it, take it or leave it. Right? That's the simple PDP. But this lets us do a PDP that says it's made in America. It is going to last you a lifetime. It's an heirloom product. It is going to impart no toxins to you. It will be as non-stick as Teflon over time. It was made by this group of people in Charleston, South Carolina, or wherever, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, that have this backstory. So I take something that is potentially very simple, very mundane, a frying pan after all, and by using this approach, create automatically without massive human intervention, because there would be, I mean, how else would it have been done historically? Pull all that out to be able to be presented in a super compelling way that is unique to my brand and unique to my store, that wouldn't have happened before. And what you're showing in a very structured way where I can actually load things up, get them back, review them, and understand where things are in terms of the status of that AI analysis.
Exactly.
Sorry, yeah.
No, you actually hit the nail right in the head, because that's exactly the point we were trying to make, and basically the progression of where this algorithm stands. And I just want to show you the scale of how much data analysis is being done within a few minutes. This would take a human, definitely an hour, more than a couple of days, I would say. But where I'm getting to is this part where each and every step is being broken down here, and we are able to show it on monday.com, which most of our clients use, and Tribalist is also using for their order fulfillment. The various sections progress is shown here, which is, again, picture is worth 1,000 words. Without this, you would always be puzzled. Is it done? Is it not done? Is it stuck somewhere? Should I do something? Should I rerun it? And you'll always be dependent on someone like us. So this is how Monday is allowing us to make you an independent customer, while we are only involved in cases where there's error that we need to take a look at, because this in the back end does send an error log to us if something happens to our own boards. So I just wanted to kind of showcase this because we are utilizing some industry standard tools to use this. At the back end, we have N8N and a few other tools that are in the process. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time here to show you the implementation, real implementation of how this happened. And from here, I think, Tarun, we are hitting the 1 hour mark. Do you think we should take these questions now, or should we answer them offline? How do you think we should go about it?
I think there are quite a few questions, so maybe we can just answer one or two, and rest we can pretty much do it offline.
Okay.
So I think one of the questions that is coming up is that what advice would you give to a business who is just starting their AI journey?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier, because Vipul took us through that exact part where you start small, have a clear, well-defined use case, build internal AI, literacy, understand what investment is needed in quality data. Do you need quality data? Do you need scoring? You need some numerical outputs, measurable outputs, and what is your KPI really for your real outcome? So you are able to determine that, and that's where you should start. Like with any project, you should start to see, start from those nitty-gritties, and then as you gain confidence, and that's our approach too, to start with our customers on a very small microcosm level, so that there is a pilot which the customers can take care of, can literally use forever. And as you gain confidence and see results, expand on it. Do not go about spending, loads and loads of time and effort and money before you actually see the results out. I hope this answers the question, and we can move on.
Yeah. So I think the second, but also we'll keep it as a last question for now, and rest we can address it via email. What are the common misconceptions about AI in business, and how can they be addressed?
That's a good question. So AI gets a bad rep these days also, just because it's a buzzword, everyone is using it. And on the other hand, it's like, I'm using AI, I can solve everything, really quickly. Those misconceptions are supposed to be solved. And basically the fear that AI is going to take away all our jobs. So all of those misconceptions are very common. And in order to address that, the best way is to initially at the management level, as the business owner, just set real expectations. Where do you think AI can be really of use? And then when it comes down to your team, either being a little intimidated, just train them. Have an open dialogue. Emphasize that AI is going to be augmenting you, not really replacing you. In certain cases, it might replace certain skill sets, but then train them if you can. And those misconceptions really need to be handled. I think the industry overall over the last 50 years has gone through certain shifts, and I feel that many of the employees, the workers, are able to understand what kind of an impact a new technology might have. So they're open to dialogue. So just take that opportunity, talk to them. But before you do that, first of all, in your brain, understand where do you really want AI to add value, because AI is just a tool. It can also lead to unwanted, negative impacts as well. So just be aware of those things and come to us. We can help you out in identifying where you need to invest in AI.
So thanks, Ajot. I think point rightly taken. And start small, start effective, and have realistic expectations. So before we close off, Vipul, any closing remarks from your side? And then over to you, Harjot.
I think we did a good job covering it. There's a lot more underneath the layers, and there's a lot more. So I think we just, to be fair, just covered the basics of our journey, and the journey is still continuing.
Thank you, Vipul. So I think, we, as I initially said, we are planning for this to be a monthly event, a monthly webinar. We will be posting it out after the webinar. We'll be posting it out in various forms, like short videos and focused topics. So look forward to meeting with you next month. We do not know what we will be touching next month, because this is so dynamic field that we'll probably decide next month what we want to talk about next month. But until then, I would like to wish all our customers, everyone who's joined, season's greetings, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll talk again next month.
Okay. Thanks, Ajot. Thanks, Vipul, for your valuable time, and looking forward. Take care.
Bye.
Right. Thank you. Bye.